A title card says that for 30 years, Earth's strongest radio telescopes have been scanning the sky, hoping to catch a signal from aliens. That effort is called SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, and the story takes place around 1994. In a secret Utah lab, a young girl named Syl is locked inside a glass chamber as cyanide gas is released. The project leader, Dr. Xavier Fitch, watches with tears and murmurs an apology. He believes ending her is the only safe option. Syl refuses to die. She smashes the glass, sprints past the guards, and escapes the facility. Outside, she jumps onto a moving train and vanishes. During the ride, Syl has flashes of a monstrous figure, like her mind is warning her about what's inside her. A homeless man approaches her, and she shoves him away. The push is unbelievably strong, fatally injuring him. Syl barely reacts. She simply takes his clothes and covers up her lab gown. At the next stop, she wanders through the station shops, studying how people hand over money and receive items. It's a quick clue she was raised, cut off from normal life. Then she steals a bag from a pile of luggage and boards a different train. Syl goes into survival mode. She raids the dining area for cash, sneaks into the kitchen, and crams her bag with food and small objects, hiding whenever someone comes near. Back in a cabin, she eats in an almost animal way, biting into bananas without peeling them, while watching a small TV she found in the stolen bag, like she's learning the world through commercials and noise. A female conductor asks for her ticket. Syl nods and imitates normal, and the conductor casually sells her one. Syl keeps eating non-stop, but sleep is rough. Nightmares wake her up, and she notices pulsing bumps under her skin. Then her body shifts. Thin tentacles burst out, proving she's changing fast. What's happening is basically accelerated evolution. Her cells can rebuild her body in hours, but it costs energy, which is why she's eating like a machine. The bumps are the change building under the skin, like a snake getting ready to shed. When it finally happens, the human shape is just a temporary stage for now. When the conductor checks on her again, she finds a disgusting cocoon stuck to the ceiling. Before she can run, Syl takes her out. Back in Utah, Fitch's security finds the dead homeless man and realizes Syl is loose in public. They can't involve police without exposing classified work, so Fitch forms a special team. Dan Smithson, an empath who can sense emotional traces. Dr. Stephen Arden, a Harvard anthropologist who studies behavior. Dr. Laura Baker, a molecular biologist. And Preston Lennox, a government fixer who hunts down threats and covers messes. Fitch explains the real origin of Syl. After decades of sending messages into space, SETI got a reply. Not a greeting, but a DNA sequence, plus instructions that seemed friendly. Merge it with human DNA. The scientists injected the sequence into 100 human eggs. Only one survived. That embryo, Syl, grew insanely fast, becoming a child in about a month. She was kept isolated for safety, but after a few months, she began having violent nightmares, and those strange lumps appeared under her skin. The project was shut down, the kill order was approved, and then Syl escaped. Now the team's job is to find her and stop her. On the train, the cocoon finally opens and Syl emerges as a fully grown woman. Wearing the dead conductor's uniform and carrying her fanny pack, she gets off in Los Angeles. She stares at kids in the street like she's trying to understand what human looks like. Syl shops for clothes, including a fancy dress, and checks into a motel. There, she watches more TV and absorbs information fast. Hair dye ads, explicit adult channels, and local news about a recent earthquake. Meanwhile, the team examines the conductor's body. Dan senses Syl felt fear, but no remorse. Laura points out that all the constant eating looks like fuel storage for a bigger transformation. Stephen identifies the ceiling residue as cocoon material, confirming Syl can rapidly change form. Preston has agents monitor credit card activity, betting Syl stole the conductor's belongings. Since the train's last stop was Los Angeles, the team heads there and sets up in a hotel. Fitch orders his lab equipment moved too because Laura has a dangerous plan. Grow a creature from the alien DNA alone, no human mixture, so they can test vulnerabilities and learn how to stop Syl. In the makeshift lab, Laura starts the procedure. Mid-experiment, the camera inside the containment box fails, so Laura and Preston go in to replace it. That's when the alien DNA activates and begins growing at an insane speed. They scramble to seal the container, but a bolt gets dropped, leaving an opening as the creature starts pushing out. Fitch refuses to open the door, warning about contamination. Protocol says to incinerate the entire room, even if people are inside. Laura and Preston fight the creature back while the others shove Fitch aside. force the door open, and pull them out just before the lab is burned to ash. That evening in Los Angeles, Sil switches into casual clothes and approaches the motel front desk like she's following rules she picked up from television. In a direct way, she asks the receptionist where she can find a good man. He suggests a nightclub nearby, then requests a credit card for room incidentals. Sil hands over the stolen card that belonged to the train conductor, so the second the card is used, Dr. Xavier Fitch's team gets notified and now has a solid lead. At the club, Sil tries to connect with a man, but another woman steps in and physically humiliates her, making it clear Sil has competition. Sil doesn't argue or back down. She quietly follows the woman into the restroom and takes her out in a stall, then walks back out like it was nothing. She looks for a new target and soon meets a regular named Robbie. He's eager, friendly, and quickly takes her to his home. But once things start turning intimate, Sil suddenly stops. She senses something off in him, like she can feel a problem inside his body. This matters because Sil isn't flirting for pleasure. She's evaluating men like potential breeding material. Robbie refuses to accept her no and tries to force the situation, so Sil takes him out and takes his car. Meanwhile, Fitch's team arrives at the motel, collects the security footage, and learns about the nightclub from the receptionist. At the club, they find the murdered woman, and the bouncer remembers Sil leaving with Robbie. They track down Robbie's address, but when they reach the house, they only find his body. Laura Baker studies the scene and lays it out. Sil is actively trying to reproduce, and she stopped because Robbie didn't meet her standards. In the bathroom, they find Robbie's medication and realize he was diabetic. That detail reveals something disturbing. Sil can detect genetic or metabolic weakness in potential mates, almost like a living diagnostic scanner. Sil drives off before police can corner her. She spends the night sleeping in the stolen car, trapped in more nightmares. By morning, she reaches Santa Monica, but the car runs out of gas. While crossing a street, she's struck by another driver who doesn't stop. A witness named John rushes to help and takes her straight to the hospital. John checks her in, pays the costs with his own card, and stays close because he wants to know she survives. The doctor examining Sil is shocked by how fast her injuries are healing, far too quickly for a normal human, and he notices the same pulsing bumps along her back. Sil realizes she's about to be studied, and she slips out right away before anyone can stop her. In the hallway, she runs into John again. He's worried and kind, and Sil can sense he's healthy, exactly what she wants. She asks him to take her home. John agrees. At his house, he makes dinner, tries to create a normal vibe, and takes a quick selfie with her. Sil has zero interest in slow romance. She drags him toward the pool or hot tub, impatient to get physical. Back with the team, they enhance the motel footage. Sil's face still isn't clean enough for an ID, but they can tell she's in peak reproductive age. The team spells out what that could mean. If Sil creates male offspring, those males could grow fast and impregnate many human women, spreading rapidly. In simple terms, this isn't just one killer. This could turn into a population takeover that threatens human survival. Soon after, the police locate Robbie's car, which pulls the investigation towards Santa Monica. Around the same time, the hospital contacts authorities because Sil's blood sample shows abnormalities that don't match any normal human profile. Using John's card information from the hospital paperwork, Fitch's team figures out where she went and heads to John's address. Sil hears them enter the house. She decides John has become a risk. She forces him underwater and holds him there until he stops moving. Then she slips outside and hides in the bushes. By the time the team reaches the yard, John is already dead, and Sil is gone. The selfie John took could have saved them, but Sil shifted during the photo, blurring her face. They still don't have a clear image to broadcast or track. With no better move that night, the team pulls back to rest and plans to stake out the club again the next day. Sil, however, is already planning beyond their next step. She steals another car from a random woman, drives back to John's place, and watches the team leave. From a distance, she reads Fitch's lips and realizes they're going back to the club. Once she knows their plan, she returns to the home of the woman she stole from, ties that woman to the bed, and keeps her alive, basically saving her as a tool for later. That night, Sil has another nightmare, and this one is specific. She sees herself with Preston Lennox. When she wakes, she chooses a strategy to erase the team's pursuit, fake her death. First, she cuts off her own finger because she knows she can regenerate it. Then she cuts off one of the captive woman's fingers too and discards it, setting up a future mix-up with body evidence. Next, she goes to a gas station, fills multiple containers with gasoline, and scouts for a building with a high-voltage transformer. Somewhere, a crash and fire erase evidence. That evening, the team watches the club again. Nothing happens until Dan Smithson steps outside for air. Sil appears for a second, then runs. She jumps into a car where she has the kidnapped woman and the gasoline stored, and the team chases immediately. But Sil is controlling the chase. She drives straight toward the transformer building and bails out right before impact. The car slams in and detonates, turning into a rolling fireball. Sil escapes in another car she positioned nearby earlier. The kidnapped woman's body is burned beyond recognition, and when the team finds a thumb stuck in the wreckage, they assume it belongs to Sil. They think they've won, so they go for drinks. Sil uses that relief window to change her appearance, returning to the woman's house to cut and dye her hair. Then she blends into the hotel bar as if she belongs there. In the restroom, she runs into Laura and casually borrows her perfume to copy her scent. Laura goes upstairs, tired. Stephen Arden and Dan push Preston, teasing that Laura clearly wants him, so Preston follows. In the elevator, Preston runs into Sil, notices the perfume, and Sil exits on his floor, clearly marking him as her next target. But as she approaches, she hears Preston already with Laura. Sil steals a maid's keys, slips into the room next door, and listens through the wall as more disturbing visions flicker through her mind. Back at the hotel bar, Stephen Arden tries chatting up a few women and gets shut down hard. Embarrassed, he gives up and heads upstairs to sleep. When Stephen opens his room door, Sil is already inside. She doesn't explain. She just moves straight toward him and pulls him into bed. Stephen doesn't question a thing. He's lonely, insecure, and convinced this is the first time in his life he's ever won with someone like her. So he goes along with it. As Sil takes what she came for, she keeps getting those disturbing visions again. And Dan Smithson starts feeling them too, like her presence is bleeding into his senses. Dan suddenly knows she's in the building. He walks toward Stephen's room, and the closer he gets, the darker it feels. He backs off and rushes to grab Laura and Preston. Inside the room, Sil is already changing. She can literally feel a pregnancy beginning almost instantly. Stephen notices it too when her body shifts in an unnatural way, and panic hits him. Before he can yell for help, Sil takes him out. Seconds later, the others reach the door. Sil stops pretending to be human. For the first time, she fully morphs into her alien form, slick, fast, and predatory, then bursts out through the wall like it's made of paper. They chase her downstairs into the parking area and realize it's worse than they thought. She didn't just break drywall. She also forced her way through a steel door, meaning normal barriers won't slow her down. Preston grabs weapons from his car, including flamethrowers, and they follow the route Sil took. In a maintenance tunnel, they find a worker's body, then spot an open manhole. Sil has escaped into the sewer system. The team climbs down. Preston leads, sweeping corners with the flamethrower before anyone steps forward. Dan is frustrated because her trail keeps fading, like she's masking herself. They split up to cover more ground, an awful decision. Sil is hiding underwater. When Fitch ends up alone, she explodes out of the water and takes him down in one savage attack. Still in that alien form we're seeing clearly now. Then she vanishes through a crack in the sewer wall created by the recent earthquake. Now that Sil is out of the water, Dan can track her again. Dan, Laura, and Preston squeeze through the crack and enter a larger cavern. They don't realize it yet, but Sil has already given birth to a male offspring down here, and the creature is surviving by hunting rats. The cavern floor is coated with oil, and once again they spread out. Dan climbs up over rocks and spots the boy creature. He tries to approach carefully, almost like it might understand him, but it lunges. Dan loses his footing and falls. Laura rushes toward him, slips, and drops into the oily pit below. Above, the boy finishes transforming into a more complete alien shape and attacks Dan again. Dan fires the flamethrower, igniting the creature. Dan then slips too, nearly going down, and ends up hanging from the rocks by sheer grip strength. The burning boy falls into the oil, setting off a massive blaze that spreads toward Laura. Pure adrenaline kicks in, and she claws her way out, coughing and drenched, just as Preston runs into Sil, who has come charging in after hearing her son's dying screams. Sil lashes out with a tentacle and nearly chokes Preston. He slices it off with a knife and breaks free, then unloads his gun into her until she tumbles backward into the burning oil. Preston and Laura scramble to save Dan, but Sil isn't finished. She grabs Dan's legs from below, trying to drag him into the fire. Preston loads his shotgun fast and blasts Sill's head apart, finally stopping her for good. They pull Dan up and escape the sewers, exhausted and convinced the nightmare is over. But the final shot reveals a chilling twist. A rat starts eating the severed tentacle piece and begins mutating, growing a new tentacle of its own, then turning on the other rats, and that's where the movie ends.